Welcome to Free Discourse Radio. So today we're going to talk about the recent news with Russia that happened this week and last. The Senate has voted on new sanctions to hit Russia with, and only two, I believe, senators voted against it, Mr. Rand Paul and Mike Lee from Utah. And the rest, everyone else, signed on to this. There seems to be a big problem that's escalating between the executive branch and the legislature, because they seem to be on opposite sides of the table when it comes to Russia and the situation there. Obviously, we know that the mainstream media is putting out a story about the Russians hacking our election or propagating during our election or hiring a bunch of trolls to go and propagate against Hillary Clinton in the election in favor of Trump. There's obviously no evidence that's been put forward to this yet, and I still have none to give you now. And it seems as though our international relations are starting to become seriously affected by this. There was supposed to be a meeting on I believe it was the 23rd of June, where Lavrov and Tillerson were going to have more discussions on I believe, the Minsk agreements, and among other things. And they have canceled that meeting. Tillerson is not able to meet with Lavrov now because the Russians canceled it. They cited that the hostility that one side of the American political spectrum in the country is well, maybe not one side of the political spectrum, but the establishment position is anti-Russian because of this supposed attack that happened during the election. Now, I'm particularly worried about this now because there are moves being made in the Middle East. There are moves obviously being made in Eastern Europe on both parts of the Russians and the U.S. The U.S. is moving ever so closely to the Russian border with building up weapons, munitions, and military gear on the Russian border that could be nuclear deterrents and possibly shoot one back. And those are starting to appear on the border. I believe we're doing some things in Romania and also up where Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia are. And they are calling for us to also get more involved in the region and really bring this close to the Russian border because they're afraid of the same thing happening to them as what happened to Ukraine. Now, I'm not saying that I trust Putin necessarily, and that we should listen to everything that he says, and that we should automatically open our door to them and become best of friends. Obviously, that this is a process and a diplomatic process, but it's worthy to point out because of how much this is acting as a wall to us bettering our relations with Russia. The establishment's case against Russia is largely unproven, mostly unproven. We don't even know what exactly the crime that was committed. We don't know what Trump's administration and the people in his administration have done that was wrong. We don't know what the Russians did that was wrong. Is it possible that they did something? Well, sure, of course. And most likely they probably did try to propagate because this is not something that would be new. Now, it is one thing to say that the Russians tried to meddle in our affairs and in our election, and another thing to say that they succeeded in successfully hacking or even attempted to hack. There's a big difference, and these terms like hacking and attack and propagating, Twitter trolls, all these terms are being used interchangeably almost as to make one solid case against the Russians that they meddled in our election. But meddling doesn't tell the entire story, and it doesn't tell us how we should react, because it doesn't tell us if the Russians even try to interfere. And if they did, that's not a good thing, of course. Now, there is a question to be said: is it any more than how we have interfered with their affairs and their and whatever they've been doing, as well as other countries that we always get involved in? Now, I again, if they did attack us, that should be answered. Now, these sanctions that are coming up are acting as an obstacle between Tillerson being able to do his job and talk to Lavrov about Middle East policy and policy probably in Ukraine and what's going on there. The Russians claim that that the Ukraine has not upheld its end of the bargain when it comes to the Minsk agreements. And there's a quote here from Lavrov. He says, "When Ukrainian President Poroshenko fails to implement his obligations under the Minsk agreements, sanctions are slapped on Russia," he said. "When there are problems in Syria, and the blame is laid on Russia and the government of Bashar al-Assad as well, I can provide many more examples of when Russia was blamed for developments around the world just because the U.S. Congress was unhappy about something." Now, I don't see that as a far-fetched thing to say. I wouldn't obviously take just his word for it. Tillerson, I would look at the moves that the U.S. military is actually making, and you can see that there is definitely some things that would make the Russians worried. The very latest being shooting down a Syrian warplane when we should be actually fighting Islamic terror in ISIS. Now, there are mounting allegations against the U.S. That are growing, and we might start to see some evidence of this pop out soon, but I don't want to say anything is for certain yet, but it is pretty... But a lot of people are saying that the U.S. military has engaged in even helping arm terrorists and radical Islamic groups in the Middle East. And that would not be the first time, as we had before against the Soviet Union, armed the Mujahideen and Osama bin Laden, who would later be the mastermind behind the 9/11 attacks. So it wouldn't be the first time. And we seem to be a lot more deeper and ingrained in what's going on in the Middle East these days now than we were even back in the 80s when we were trying to do what we were doing. Despite, Iran-Contra and all those situations where we were overthrowing governments. Now we've gone ahead and we seem to be actively trying to fight Assad, or at least the establishment is, while Trump is trying to change our strategy and focus more on Islamic terror, which I think is the right way to go. And I certainly don't want to see us risk any more conflict with the Russians when there doesn't need to be conflict. The fact of the matter is that we don't know whether or not what they actually did to us in the election. We don't know if they did anything at all. Now, this hack, they use, as well as that too, the DNC is using the word hack. They use the word meddling. All these terms that mean different things and are specific to different levels are being used interchangeably. I'm hearing all kinds of things that the Russians are supposedly did. So they don't have their story straight, and they don't have their accusations straight. And obviously, there is no evidence besides saying that this intelligence official said this, and these 17 intelligence agencies, even though I don't think 17 intelligence agencies actually say that they're more than confident that the Russians did anything. I believe the NSA is only moderately positive that this took place. And again, we don't know exactly what they did. We don't know if they actually got into hacking our ballot boxes and the numbers, the hard numbers with the votes. We don't know. And it's also a far-fetched thing to say. It's taken another leap when we go and say that Donald Trump is involved with this and that he did all this, that he's running for president, he's becoming president on behalf of Putin. That's what they'd have you believe at this point, is that Trump is basically working for Putin. And for people that believe this, this could be, I can see how this could blockade Trump from doing anything. Even worse than what Obama went through, probably, with obstruction and blocking of policy. We've already seen them. With these sanctions are actually a legit example of how they're trying to obstruct Trump. Tillerson can't do his job now because of these hostilities. We need to show a little good faith, I think, if we really truly want to go to the table with Russia and possibly work with them to defeat Islamic terror in the Middle East. I don't see. I would never say that Assad is this great leader and all this, and that he deserves to be up there in power and everything like that. But the fact of the matter is that the Syrian people do support him. And there are a lot of micro stories that you can look at where people are saying that they're glad that the Syrian army came in to take back their town from ISIS or the rebels that we're supporting, because they're simply just better. They treat the people better. They're not radical jihadists. And we know that at this point that a lot of the people we gave weapons to were really sketchy. And again, it isn't the first time the U.S. has done this. I feel like we're continuing to shoot ourselves in the foot when we, along with our relations with Russia, and we really seem to be risking a lot in order to keep this narrative alive that Trump is bad and that he's a fascist, and he's obviously in here for Putin's favor, and he's going to do things for Putin, and that all of his lackeys are Russian spies, Bannon and Flynn and Jared Kushner and such. It's not productive, certainly. I mean, I don't know, these sanctions. I know one official said that, I forget who it was, and I got these articles up, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it in time. Well, an official said that that these sanctions are being how do you say re-implemented twice a year, and that this is no more than just ordinary business and ordeals, but the thing is that we probably should try to show a little bit more flexibility and try to really show Russia we're serious about coming to the table. We have to give it the chance, and if we find that Russia actually did something, then of course I'm on the side of reacting accordingly. But we don't know what exactly happened, what we did. I don't know how we've gotten to this point where we're so irresponsible that we're going to go and flex our muscles at them and escalate things further, to the point where we won't be able to talk to them anymore. And Russia's being quite serious about this. They're shutting down lines of communication, shutting down meetings between Tillerson and Lavrov, which we need right now. I think the worst thing that could happen, which will likely throw us far back into a Cold War scenario, is the shutting down of communications. I think there was still even a hotline up during the Cold War, and things like this could be used. Like, the good thing about having these lines open and closing the lines down for a sort of like criticism of what the other side is doing. That's stuff like that. Diplomatic things that we can use against each other is what prevents us from going over into conflict. I think we should use economy and diplomacy as a means to as a first before a war, and we should exercise all those things before. Now, and I'm speaking from a standpoint if there was something to blame Russia for. I understand that their policy in Crimea and Ukraine was a little wasn't good, and despite the fact that many people were not happy with Poroshenko in Ukraine, and a lot of people felt like they wanted to go with the Russians more than the EU, and thought of the president of Ukraine as just basically someone who was put in there for the West, on behalf of the West. And a lot of people didn't like that. So they were welcoming, many of them, towards the Russians when this unidentified force went into Ukraine to help take over many parts of the East. And that's what led us to the problems we're dealing with today. But at the same time, we need to remember that we have a huge fight in the Middle East that's ready to boil over. Saudi Arabia is pushing buttons with Qatar and Iran. It's not good, and it's concerning for the future, where we want to see us being able to. I mean, at this point, I don't know if we can just gradually pull out. I'm definitely on the side of not getting ourselves involved all over the place and being the police of the world and sending our military there and here to overthrow these people. It hasn't done us any good, and it only creates a hotbed for terrorism. We've seen it over and over again with Syria, with Iraq, Afghanistan, like so many times that we've overthrown dictators have made us a lot less safe. And I feel like Trump right now is. I mean, I'm still unsure about him for the most part. Yeah, I'm not sure if I consider myself a supporter of his, but I certainly don't buy the Russian narrative because there's just simply too much assumptions happening, and not enough evidence and transparency being put forward for us to chew on, and for us to make a decision. So basically, we have these new sanctions now. They've been passed by the Senate. I do believe they have to go to the House next, and has not been passed yet by the House. And the White House is already working to try and get the Senate to lighten their language because they've obviously screwed them with this high-level meeting that was supposed to take place. I'm not happy that I don't like the fact that the president and his administration is being obstructed from conducting diplomacy. Like, this is what he's supposed to be doing. This is what Tillerson is supposed to be doing, and they seem to be going out and having a dialogue. I don't know what shutting that dialogue down is going to do for us, and I don't know. I feel like this is obviously a move that the anti-Trumpers are doing, and this includes Democrats and Republicans aside. There are only two people that voted against the sanctions. Now, am I saying that every person that voted for them, maybe they have their own reasons for it, but there's definitely an anti-Trump sentiment to this, just like there is with everything right now. And it's actually standing in the way of us being able to conduct diplomatic policy. I mean, I don't know. I don't want us to have another 8 years of inaction. I want us to make moves and actually try to open a dialogue with the Russians and show them that we're serious. They seem to want to talk to us. They seem to want to, and I don't know why we won't. And I don't know why we keep shooting ourselves in the foot with this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people want the conflict in the establishment. I wouldn't doubt that. It certainly wouldn't be the first time that they wanted to make that many of these politicians want to help their friends in the military-industrial complex or places like that, because there's always money to be made in conflicts. And I don't know if it will lead to another proxy war. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. We really should not be trying to overthrow Assad at this point. It's not. I don't see who we could put in there to replace him. And especially with the Russians involved, they're not just going to let us waltz in there and do it. So I'm unsure still about our policy with the Russians. I know it sounds like Trump is trying to work with them, trying to bring them to the table. And obviously the establishment will bounce back and say, "Oh yeah, it's because they're working together," and blah blah blah. But I don't believe that. I think there's actually the administration is trying to have a turning point here with relations with Russia. And I definitely think that we should do differently than what Obama did, because what he didn't work. And, certainly the Russians haven't invaded anywhere else yet, but they're still going to be involved in Syria no matter what we do. And we can't aim to overthrow Assad and expect the situation in the Middle East to get any cooler. It's not going to. And not to mention, too, that the more bombings we do, the more refugees we're going to make, and the more people that are going to flow into Europe. And it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help us, and it doesn't help anybody. I don't see who this is helping by obstructing our ability to conduct foreign policy. If this is happening to Obama, I know that many people would be screaming and yelling about this. And would be making videos of their own and telling us why it's bad for us to obstruct foreign policy. And I say the same thing now with Trump. There's no evidence that he's working with the Russians. What it does seem to look like is that they're trying to talk, and there are people in our government that don't want them to talk, and that worries me big time. And I don't know where this is going to go. But this is basically where I want to go. We are sanctioning Russia again. And a high-level meeting that was supposed to take place at Tillerson-Lavrov is canceled. And I don't know if there's a plan to talk next. I'm sure there will be eventually. I'm sure they won't stop all meetings at this moment. But this is certainly a little bit of a plummet in our relations here, and I think we need to fix our act soon so we can try to open open up dialogue and continue to talk, and we could really make a difference here. This tenure of with Trump could really make a difference, and I plea to everybody that we should really just give him a chance, and not to say that we should shut down all investigations and blah blah blah. I mean, again, like my position is, I think this is manufactured. I mean, Hillary Clinton, she started this basically, and they started talking about this the day after WikiLeaks emails were released. And you can go to Seth Rich, the Seth Rich website that has all the information on it. There is, I don't know what you believe with the Seth Rich case, and nothing is proven there either. But there is information that puts everything in a timeline here, and it does. The timeline tells us that we started to that my phone again. I keep forgetting to put it on silent. There we go. But yeah, we keep concluding here. We basically just we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. We should give it a chance. This investigation with Russia hasn't gone anywhere, and whether they're trying to change it to obstruction of justice or if they try to say that they meddled or hacked, nothing is proven, and probably won't be proven. To be fair, and they'll probably ride with this as long as they can. I don't know if the Democrats are planning on running with this stuff for 2018. I don't know where, at the moment, how the neoliberals and the neoconservatives are working with each other on this. Like, they seem to both. There seems to be a lot of Republicans and Democrats that oppose Trump and want to obstruct him from conducting foreign policy, and it's wrong. It's just wrong, and like the people voted accordingly. However you feel about the Electoral College, I realize that Hillary won the popular vote, 3 million, but we have an Electoral College, and so that we can, everyone's issues from the rural regions and from other parts of America that are outside urbanized areas have a say equally in who the president should be. And the people did speak, and they wanted him in, and I don't think that they should just be thrown to the side and replaced with some lackey that's been an establishment figure for their whole career. It doesn't look good, and what we're doing here with the Russians certainly does not look good on the international level. And I don't think Trump going and speaking out against the European leaders and some of the BS they've been doing with the refugees and with policy as far as their NATO policies and not wanting to contribute as much, and all that to me that seems to be true for the most part. And I don't know what this is going to do to help us, and I don't know. You tell me. But thank you for listening to Free Discourse Radio. I'm going to put these articles that I'm looking at on these stories. You can find out some information for yourself into the description below, and follow me on Twitter. Subscribe if you liked what you heard. And thank you. Thank you so far, actually, to I got 3 subscribers, and I want to thank those people if they're listening for subscribing. And this is just an experiment for me right now. I'll try my best, and of course, all criticism and all comments are welcome. Let it out. Let me know if I do things wrong or any criticisms you got. I'm there and I'm listening, and I'll continue to try to do what I can here. And thank you for listening and supporting. And we'll see you next time on Free Discourse Radio.